remember to try to change that. So maybe it's good. Okay, here we go. Slowly rising.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, that's like no.
Trip over everything.
Tripping over power cords is my thing. Good morning.
Used to be bags.
I have fewer bags over there.
I know.
But we're about to potentially rip half the shop apart. So that's going to be fun. Lots of tripping hazards.
Changes.
Changes. Yeah, hi. Welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
The Dear Becky and Lizzy edition.
Yes. For all intents and purposes for today, I am Becky. Every other day of the week known as Rebecca. Owner and operator of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in overcast and maybe gonna rain and definitely gonna be hot and muggy Brevard, North Carolina.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion there.
Yes.
Or Lizzy.
That's right. We have the cute little.
We have an actual paper letter and an email.
Yes, and I was gonna bring in yarn today to show off something from one of them, and like big thick that could be seen from a distance, and I forgot. Of course I did. I didn't put it by the door, so it didn't come in. So I might look around in a minute. I forget. I think the email is the one that it applies to. So we'll see. Okay. I'm intrigued to see what happens with this. Excuse me, when it's blocked. Because right now, if I just let it go, it kind of gets a little sad and in the center here. And
it has been intriguing all week.
I've been messing with it all week, is what you mean. I have not gotten around to blocking it yet, though, and I do like wearing. I like wearing the thing I just finished, so I've been wearing it all week, and I haven't done the tassel yet. I'm gonna have to try to remember to bring home yarn for the tassel, or make that. I have to look at the instructions for how to block this. I'm wondering if it's because I did the less full version. Like I look at the pattern for the break and tide cowl is what this is. And it's like, it's doing other things that this is not, but I didn't have enough yarn to go any further. So it's okay. And I know it probably is okay. And half of you out there think it's absolutely lovely. And I'm just being very hard on, just like I'm hard on myself, I'm hard on my knitted items. I'm judgmental. Said no knitter ever.
Ever.
No knitter's ever been judgmental of their own things and said, but it looks funny here. Right there. Yeah. Okay.
Nope. Nope, never.
Never. I'm still waking up, but I have no caffeine in front of me, so I'm gonna drink some water.
I'm still waking up. Today could be interesting.
Regardless of when this is posted. Oh look, one of our canopies. I've been looking for this. It's been buried under a mountain of yarn.
We actually have like 5 in the shop.
And I can only ever find 1.
And now we have 2, because I'm going to take that and go put it with its friend.
Fine.
At the mailing table.
Yeah, the friend that with the only kniffy knife. I say things weird just for fun. Box cutter that we have in the shop that we can find. It's because Liz has made a station for it and we're supposed to return it there, and we should really return other things there too, but I just like having one over here, but then it gets hidden under
there's yarn. Probably 5 more over
Has here. Anyone had that problem? Like this yarn that you see in front of you between us and you is because it's stacked about 5 or 6 or 7 skeins deep. That's how it gets to be as high as it is in front of the camera. So who knows what's under there? I had someone in for a lesson yesterday, and do you have open close stitch markers? No. I'm pretty sure I have some on the table, and I proceeded to try to dig through this, and it was very unprofessional.
We
very unprofessional.
We generally unpile that area about once a month-ish. But between making kits.
We're making kits. That's why those are all there.
And we're making kits and the VSC, and we like having the nice little pile in front for VSC.
Yeah, and you can't see it unless there's lots of stuff under it. So, why bother putting that away? No, but we have visions and plans for what's behind us, because we got a back order in of not product of a fixture It was so exciting.
We had plans a while ago,
We
and
had
it was
plans like last year.
let's order this fixture, and they were like, it's back ordered. Well, when's it going to come in?
We don't
We
know.
don't know.
How long do you want to wait for it? And you have to tell us. And I said, okay, we'll wait till the end of the year. And it's not the end of the year, so thank goodness.
It came in this week.
Mm-hmm. Shipping was almost as much as the item. So yeah, I'm all excited now that we have it, and we have no appointments today. That doesn't mean we will not have anyone who wants to shop today.
So what's going to happen is we're going to take all the yarn off the fixtures back here, and it's going to be in piles everywhere. And then all of a sudden we're going to get appointments.
No. Okay. Hot mess, and it's going to be literally you can't come in the shop because there's nowhere to walk. I still
not that that's ever happened.
I still think we should maybe prioritize first putting away the post quarantine yarn to make space for all the havoc we're going to create. But anyway, that's a conversation we can. Hey, almost saw that. But that's a conversation Liz and I should have off camera. But part of this show is supposed to give you insight into what life is like in the shop, right? So
start a yarn shop, they said. Work at a yarn shop, they
said.
It'll
be fun, they said. It is fun, but not that part of it.
It's the best and the worst job ever. Why? Yarn.
I do love helping people find yarn, but sometimes making it possible for people to find yarn is tiring. No, so stay tuned for next week when hopefully we'll have actually had time to do what we think we're going to do, and it might look different behind us. There's a cliffhanger for you at the very beginning of our episode. Okay, so on that note, oh my gosh, someone better check in with us tomorrow and see if we're alive or not. I should come to Sit and Stitch tomorrow night. Then you'll know. Then you'll be able to be
alive. Oh, speaking of alive,
I just need to be alive enough to turn the meeting on.
I think I got a bruise on my arm.
What? First of all, why are we talking about your bruise, and how did that happen?
Working in a yarn shop, I'm not sure. We bump into stuff.
I bump into the hooks on the fixtures all the time. That's a big bruise for just bumping into a fixture. It's like this big, so I can see that on camera.
I was like, what did I bump into yesterday?
There's so many possibilities. For me, there's
how many cases of the
I don't realize
hooks that we bought, because
I don't realize how wide my hips are or something, because I'm continually hitting them on things. So
my skirts tend to protect the bottom half.
I know you got the cushioning. I don't. I need to work on that, right? I know how I got this, which won't show up on camera probably. I got in a fight with a cat yesterday named Avi because he was being a you know what.
Come to knit night because the story is epic.
I don't really think it is, but it involves a one-sided pillow fight, and the other person had claws.
Epic.
And I have learned that especially small pillows are no protection against the cat with really long arms. Okay. We're supposed to be answering knitting questions.
We are.
And you know what my first thought was when it even started bleeding yet, but I knew that he had gotten me. I was like, crap, that's going to look like ass for morning meditation.
You're going to have to bleep that
now. No. I don't consider the word ASS as bad as 4-letter words. So I'm actually not going to beep that out. If someone objects to it, let me know and I will beep it out next time. It only has 3 letters.
Today is going to be fun.
Well, because the last time, and actually that's this mark right here, the last time I had a cat scratch, I had one of my close knitters go, is that from Avi? So I don't even know if it showed up in today's. I didn't even look. But my first thought was, I better wash that off and hope it doesn't bleed too much, because it's going to mess up morning meditation. I could cut out the bad words that Liz says I said and just say it's going to look bad for morning meditation. But I think I'm going to leave it in there and take my chances. Do you think I should?
I don't care. I don't know. I don't know.
Let's live dangerously. If people who are watching think that was an offensive word, I will be better next time. I don't think that's something that would be censored on TV. So anyway,
not anymore.
We're wasting time, but that's okay. Okay, so we have a very lovely card that we got. This is why I love getting cards. I like emails too, but cards sometimes, they're pretty, and it's got butterfly on it. And we have the butterfly shawl, which we didn't write, but we really love. We get emails sometimes like people think we wrote it and can answer all questions or figure things out. And sometimes we can help and sometimes we really can't. And that's a question for the pattern writer. So Marin, we love you. Yay. Okay. So back to this. Oh, and there's pictures. There's this cute little, look at that cute little picture. Okay. There's no name on, there's the fun name on this. There's no real name on this. There's not even a return address. I was like, I wonder who wrote this. Okay. Sorry. Dear Becky and Lizzy, since crochet and knitting are a huge part of your lives, do yarn and crafting show up in your dreams? One of my mother's favorite stories to tell was about the time I told her at about 9 years old that I dreamed I knitted a baby and it came to life. That's cool. Thank goodness not in a chunky kind of, a Chucky. Sorry, I'm messing up the letter. Thank goodness not in a Chucky kind of way. And actually, last night I dreamed about one of my cousins showing up wearing a housecoat / bathrobe that she had knit. And I guess I liked it because I immediately started looking for a pattern on Ravelry. Anyway, regarding my bizarre dreams, that's just the tip of the iceberg, believe me. I think we could all say the same thing. I was just curious. We like to, word I have to bleep, so I won't say. We like to say that all knitters and crocheters are just different levels of bat you-know-what crazy. We are maybe, hopefully, the mild kind. And we have met some that are not mild. It really, today's not one of those days. We have met those that we would rank a little higher on the barometer, but we all have that in us. Okay. I was just curious if crafting themes are common in your dreams. Take care and sweet dreams, crafting in my sleep. And that's when the picture down there, baby, bathrobe, what? And I was just saying, I did have a dream last night about something yarn or yarn shop related, and I'm already forgetting it. It might have had to do with kits because I've been focused on them, or it might have had to do with classes or something. It's kind of, if I do, I want to say it's probably in the vein of when I was a teacher and I would have teacher stress dreams. So I cannot recall having fond, like, yay, lighthearted, oh, I like what they're wearing in that dream, I'm going to go look up a Ravelry pattern like she's saying. If I can remember any at all, it's probably going to be in the vein of a stress dream, which is no bueno usually, unfortunately. That can be one of the issues when your hobby is also your job. So I don't know. What about you?
I sometimes knitting or crochet is in my dream. Sometimes like my dreams will help me figure out like the pattern. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I did have nightmares about a provisional cast on.
Like literal nightmares, not just like,
I think there was a provisional cast on, there were spiders, there were, it was
everything
bad.
It's like all the things you fear in one.
And then I realized that they weren't as bad as, like, not the spiders. Spiders are always bad. But the provisional cast on wasn't as bad as, but I tend to have really random weird dreams when I remember my dreams. Like,
yeah, well, that's the thing is usually we remember dreams oftentimes because, like, we in general, because you wake up in the middle of them, or you go back to sleep and go back into one, and it gets really weird.
I've never gone back to sleep and had like a dream I can remember.
I have, and it gets really weird.
Like, when I say weird, I mean having coffee in a cafe inside of an active volcano and, the waiters hopping on lava type things. Yeah, weird.
Okay, that might have been because I was talking about the Pompeii, the floor is lava competition. But the other day.
No, that
Okay,
predates it.
never mind. So yeah, oftentimes I remember dreams when they're not good and really stressful. And like I said, I had one last night, and as I woke up or as I was having it, I was like, oh, this relates to what we're going to talk about. And of course it's already gone. So, I don't know if I have warm and fuzzy dreams about knitting, which is intriguing. I don't know if I've had many like I can remember dreams lately. Like my sleep has either been weird or super deep. But I will say like I should probably, because it's like if I spend too much time doing a crossword, like doing a jigsaw puzzle or playing Candy Crush or things like that, I will see that when I close my eyes. Right?
If I'm knitting or crocheting,
Okay.
like crocheting the same pattern over again, where it's like fan, 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 fan.
You'll see that.
I can close my eyes and see the stitches.
But that's not the same as a dream.
I can see it sometimes in my dreams.
Okay.
But it has to be like something that is all obsessed.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that doesn't seem to happen with my knitting, but I'm like always knitting when I have a down moment. So it should be happening. Like yesterday, and now because I'm thinking about it, it's in my head again. The theme music from Upstart Crow was running through my head yesterday because I've been binge watching it lately. But now I'm done with the series. So, so you'd think that maybe it wouldn't go through my head, but maybe music and symbols like in Candy Crush are something that will more visually flood the memory. It could be because we're talking about it today. It will start to be my dreams more. It's very possible. And if I can remember, I will report back to you next week. But on the whole, the dreams I can remember tend to be stress related. So like when I was a teacher, I would have dreams about like being late for class and trying to climb the hill outside of class and not getting anywhere, kind of thing. and yeah, you're like, what? Yeah. Teachers out there feel me on this, especially like right after or right before the school year starts. The stress dreams come for a lot of us. And there's been stress this past year, what with pandemics and plagues and all.
I don't see that at all.
So I'm betting that whatever happened last night was somewhat. I think it's because I've been seeing other shops talking about having classes and sit and stitch in person again. Yeah. I think I'm starting to feel a stress obligation to do that, but we don't feel comfortable doing that yet. So yeah, I think it probably involved, I think the dream last night involved more than just me. Like there were lots of other people, or not lots, but there were other people in it. And I can't remember if I was stressed by that or not. I know in my waking moments, I'm stressed about that. But yeah. That's an excellent letter and a fun question, and one we don't have necessarily a great answer for. Like, oh yeah, I dream about things I want to make twice a week and I look them up. No, that doesn't happen for me. But I do get inspired in the daytime by things. So now I'm going to pay more attention to, if I can, to what's happening when I sleep. Usually I am so tired though lately, and maybe all the time, that I go into hopefully a pretty deep sleep where I don't remember my dreams. So, all right, moving on. What else we got? Oh, I need to look for you. Ooh.
Hitting the right buttons.
Mm-hmm. She's got something she's going to read in a second.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. The subject of the email is tense. Who's tense? Dear Becky and Lizzy, I'm a lover of color work, and my preferred method is continental with my left hand and throwing with my right. The tension with my left hand is much looser than my right, as I just can't get how to hold the wool. I guess it's easier if you are a natural crocheter, but I am not. My crochet skills are very rudimentary. My question is, how do I hold the damn yarn to keep an even
That's
tension?
a word I have to bleep. It's 4 letters.
And allow it to feed. The only way I can keep an even tension at the moment is to wrap it several times around my finger. and then drop and rewind. As in English, very, in parentheses, thrower continental, or very, as in English, very English thrower. She's British. Uh, Continental is not easy for me, though it seems it might be quicker if only I could get it right. Any hints? Tied in knots and getting nowhere.
Okay, first thing I will say, the caveat I always say is people think so. English style knitting, and there's a few different kinds, is holding your yarn in and this films in reverse, but then maybe like we see our mirror image, but maybe you guys don't once it's done. No, actually, I think when we film it, it's in reverse.
It's in reverse.
Yeah. Okay. So this is gonna look weird because this is my right hand and this is my left hand, but I think this films in reverse. English style knitting is when you're holding your yarn in your right hand, and there's throwing and flicking. There's like wrapping the yarn around and then there's flicking it with your finger. So there's different levels of kinetic motion involved. Continental, you're picking. It's how Liz knits, and you can kind of see it from because we carved out some yarn here. And never mind because you're doing other stuff.
Yeah.
But holding your yarn in your left hand and just picking at it with your needle, they say it's faster. My caveat.
She knits faster than I do English.
I knit English style, and I've learned continental, but I'm not fluid in it. I haven't taken the time to get super fluid at it, so I just stick to English because I am faster. I do flick. I do very little motion instead of wrapping the yarn. I do just kind of whoop 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 with my fingers, so it takes up less energy and motion, and it helps me be faster. And it's just come with naturally with time. So that's always my caveat to start with about the end of that. And I know you're about to say something. Hang on, I'm almost done.
Yeah.
I'm almost done. So hang on to it. The end of that letter saying, I know it's faster and I should learn to do it, depends, because for me it's not faster. Maybe if I spent a lot more time with continental, it would be. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I have the opposite problem. Like I figured out how to hold tension in my left hand because I crochet and I'm a continental knitter. And to be actually honest, yes, I wrap it around my finger and I have to wrap and reset all the time for even just normal knitting.
So your tension
but
on
I have
your right hand is kind of wonky.
I have trouble if I'm doing stranded color work. I can get the tension right on my left hand because I continental knit, but it's the tension set up on my right hand I can't get because I can't figure out how to get the yarn wrapped around my fingers just
well,
right.
and
So
the funny thing is, I think we had talked about this in one episode a very long time ago, of the way that I hold tension in my right hand is the way you hold tension in your left hand.
Yeah.
And I do something different with my left hand that I learned a long time ago from a tutorial video on CD-ROM about crochet and how you hold your tension. So I'm getting this set up and I have to do a purl row in stranded color work, which is always wonky. But then I want to show you guys what I do. And what I do for continental knitting is a little bit different than like classic continental knitting, I think. So hang on, we need to vamp or talk about something while I get through this.
While you get through it. But yeah, I started with the tension method that you do for crochet where you weave it through your fingers.
I do a weavy wrappy thing, but I'll show you guys in a second.
It was in the book that I learned how to crochet from. And then I eventually just settled into wrapping it around my finger over time. Like it was just quicker to wrap it around my finger.
What I'm doing right now in the crochet method is I'm dropping and picking the crochet. You said crochet. My brain.
Knitting.
On the wrong side, I'm purling right now.
Yes.
To go back across the wrong side. Oftentimes people, when they're doing stranded color work, it's on a sweater in the round and they're just going to be on the front side knitting. I'm dropping one yarn and picking the other one up as I purl, all with my believe it or not, this is my right hand. This is a flipped image that I'm not sure if we can flip it around the right way. If we can flip it around the right way, which will throw everybody off because we'll be on opposite sides of where we usually are, I'll put a note in the comments. Okay, so let me get in here kind of close. What I would do is the pink I'm going to hold in, again, you're seeing the mirror image. This is the wonkiness where I might do a tips and tricks to kind of show this off. I would hold this in my left hand and I would hold this one in my right. Oh, that's the tail. Hey, said no knitter ever. And I don't even think about how I hold tension in my right hand because that's the one that holds the yarn like all the time. So but how I try to describe it to people, how I hold it in my right hand is I come up under the yarn with my middle finger and catch it. And then I wrap it so it's once around my middle finger. And then I duck my first finger under it. And by grabbing with my fingers here, I can kind of hold tension. Like if I didn't grab with my lower fingers in both of these, my lower fingers are involved because if I didn't grab it, if I just did the wrap, curl around and wrap once with my middle finger and duck under, if I didn't do anything with these lower fingers, I have no tension. But if I come around the backside and come under with my middle finger and wrap around and then stick my first finger under here, but I grab with these, I've got tension and I can let go and I can grab. And if I'm this far out, I have to reset no matter what. So again, I'm holding it. I come around, curl with my middle finger, wrap, duck under and away with my first finger, but then I have to hold. I got to grab with my other fingers. So manual dexterity comes in here. That's my right hand. Now I've seen Liz does that with her left hand. So she, like when I watch you with it wrapped around, she comes and she curls under with her left hand.
And I'll do it once or twice.
Wraps around. And does that. I don't actually do that, but this is if I did it with both hands. I find I have more control with my middle finger, but here's what I do. Getting a knee under me here. Here's how I learned, here's how I communicate what I learned with tension with my left hand, okay, is I get up real close to the yarn, and maybe I should, here, I'm going to take this off because it's competing colors. I hold it like this. I take my hand palm up and I put it between my pinky and my ring finger. The yarn goes right between there. Stick it right there. I wrap around my pinky and back to what I call position A. So I'll do that again. Palm up between my pinky and my ring finger, wrap around, and it looks like it's still back up between my my pinky and my ring finger, but it's wrapped around my pinky. And then I go over my ring finger and down, and then I'll keep pulling under my first two fingers. I keep pulling to the left. So it's over here, but then I can flip my hand up. And what happens with that is if my fingers are together, it's the same as grabbing over here. If my fingers are together, then the yarn doesn't go anywhere. If I open up my fingers, I can slide it through. But if my fingers are together, it doesn't go anywhere. And so let me reset and show you one more time because there's other things going on there with both crochet and knitting. So let the yarn hang down, palm up between my pinky and my ring finger, wrap all the way around my pinky and back up again, over my ring finger and down, and behind my first two fingers, but then I can move this wherever it needs to be. So it's behind those first two fingers, and there's wraps around both of these. Now, what that means is I can hold tension with my first finger, or I can hold tension with my middle finger. And when I knit, especially with two colors, I tend to hold tension. My first finger, for me, my first finger is holding, it's really hard to show this on camera, I'll show you a good angle. My first finger is hanging onto the needle, and my middle finger is holding tension out for knitting. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to do my thing here. And see, this is how I knit. You'll see it in the morning meditations. It's wrapped around my first finger for my right hand, and it's wrapped around my middle finger so I can pick with my left hand. And it leaves my first finger controlling the needle. So if I go this way, and then I go in and go that way. I know for Liz, she holds tension. She probably controls her needle with her middle finger and holds tension with her first finger. For me, the yarns get really close to being interchanged like that, and I have issues with like, see, I'm like,
it's at a certain point when I'm doing stranded color work, I just drop the right-handed yarn and pick it up when I need it because it gets wonky for me.
So for me, having the tension on the yarn in my left hand on my middle finger pulling here. I'm pulling with the middle finger on this side and the first finger on this side. This is a very technical episode, isn't it? It keeps them spaced out enough that they don't get tangled, and I know how to control them, and I do things fairly fast because I've just been doing it a lot. But the slow motion thing that I just explained to you guys, when you get good at it, I just go like that. I don't even have to think about it anymore. And the yarn goes in. But again, between my third and fourth fingers, I guess, right? Between third and fourth fingers, wrap around your last finger and back up, over your third finger and down, and keep pulling that way. And then you have options. Now, if you keep pulling that way and you go really far over, then there's no tension here. If I go over to grab, I'm going to have to reset. And I'm going to have to go around my pinky, over and down and behind. That's when I start doing it faster. And this one, remember, I just wrapped around my middle and then ducked my first finger under to pull. I could do the same thing over here, but I think my brain would fry. If I go, and this might be the way that it looks like it's my left hand, ring between the third and fourth, around my fourth, over my third and down, and pull over. I think my brain would fry because it's not used to this. But
when I try and wrap my right hand with the way I do my left hand, my brain,
your brain goes yeah. When I try to do this with my left, my brain kind of goes, what the heck? So it sounds like both of us have different ways of holding each hand that we can't flip. So you have to, I mean, in the end, what I tell people when I teach that whole method for the left hand and in crochet, and say this really, some people click with it and are like, oh, that's amazing. It's the first time I show it to them. They look like their heads just exploded. Or like, I have 6 heads, right? And then when they practice it a little, some people sink right into it and go, this is cool. This is the way to do it. And some people don't.
Some people come back a year later, 6 months later, and go, so I settled into holding tension.
I did
this way.
Yeah. And I tell them, I'm like, that's okay. You're going to find your own way to hold tension. And sometimes they start finding their own way during the lesson, and it makes me want to scream, but I do it internally because it's going to be their way. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, I go back to trying to teach them my way. But I the control freak in me goes when they try to hold it a different way. But if it works for them, the control freak in me gets stomped into oblivion. So, in the end, you are going to find your own way to hold tension. And the other thing I wanted to say about this letter, about holding tension in color work, is I was just doing my color work, my golden fern this morning. It's fingering weight on super big needles for fingering weight. And to keep my struggle with color work and tension is it depends on how small or large of a needle compared to the yarn you're using. There's so many factors that go into it. If anything, I try not to be overly worried about my tension, especially the tightness of it during color work.
You try to lean on the loose side anyway.
So. And I mean, if a difference in tension between one hand and the other is throwing off your color work, that's one thing. But I really try to be almost loosey-goosey with my stranded color work because I like giving my floats room to play in the back so that when it's blocked, you don't suddenly lose stitches because they're pulled because the floats are so tight. They suck the stitch so it's not even visible. Like I've seen ones where there's stars and you can't, or like, one, two, one, and you it either it's not lined up right or you lose stitches completely because the space between the bottom of one and the bottom of the next, the strand that goes behind it,
And just sucked the stitch back.
because it's so tight, then you may not have puckering between the stitches, which is another thing that can happen when floats are too tight with the yarn that floats behind. Um, but it's just tight enough that you lose the stitch. The V that should be the stitch is pulled back. And that sometimes can be from trying to keep your tension regular, but trying to keep things even by being like too consistent, if that makes sense. Instead of just giving room, like you give room for your floats, but then you're also trying to keep your stitch gauge count the same as it should be for the rest of the sweater. Oftentimes you'll have pattern writers who will suggest going up a needle size for that. And I just honestly, I really, when people see my floats or my stitch work and they're just like, wow, that's loosey goosey crazy. It's like some of that will be taken care of with blocking, and others of it, I'd rather have the issue of floats hanging in back than stitches I can't see when I'm done.
Yeah.
That's me. So I err on the side of I want my tension to be a little loose for both my hands, rather than I need to start regulating how tight it is. But if you have a serious difference between one and the other, that can cause its own issues, which is what I think the email writer is talking about. I really try hard not to overthink. What I do overthink a little is every time I have a long gap between stitches, I try to stretch the just knitted stitches out. And then I just try to really loosely do my next stitch with the other color. Usually if it's the contrast, I'll try to put the contrast that's not used as much in my left hand, because I've heard written, and again, this because of the reverse imaging, it looks like it's my right hand, but it's not. In fact, I probably look like a normal right-handed person, but I'm a left-handed person because I put my watch on my right hand. And the way we film this just flips everything, and I'm sorry if that makes your brains go, what? So I've read, I don't know if this is, I haven't done experiments to verify this. I know people who would like, I'll do a swatch this way and I'll do a swatch that way and let's see. But conventional wisdom in a lot of patterns is to put the contrasting color, if you want it to pop, in your left hand. Again, I haven't tested that to say, yes, it really makes a difference, but I tend to follow conventional wisdom on that. So,
So do it with the continental style.
The contrast will be done continental. I mean, you're still wrapping the yarn around the needle the same way. We were having this discussion about this at knit night.
So, but if you're continental dominant, would that translate to putting the
I don't know.
top of?
I don't think so, but I don't know. Here's the thing: is I don't know, because the people who are writing this are people who may in fact be continental knitters. So maybe that's why it pops more for them, because that is their dominant hand. But I think you'll find Andrea Mowry will say that, and Jennifer Steingass will say that, and a few other people. And I don't know. I want to say Andrea Mowry is a continental knitter, but I don't know for a fact. I feel like some of the videos I've seen of her doing techniques, the yarn is in her left hand, but I could be completely wrong on that. Jennifer Steingass, I want to say is German, and I could be really wrong on that too, or something like. So I think that is an excellent. Let's see, Liz thinks about things in ways that I wouldn't think about. Are these people who are talking about it? Are they saying it because they are continental knitters, or would a continental knitter have to flip that?
So if they're continental knitters
wisdom
and they want the yarn that pops in their dominant hand,
Mhm.
as an English knitter,
Would you want it in
You
your
might have to flip it.
Well, okay, so Liz is thinking about I've never thought about it that way, and I've never tested it, and in English, I am an English knitter. I have just taken like, again, the conventional wisdom says to put it in your left hand. It does not say to put it in your dominant hand or your dominant
But
knitting hand.
if you're if you're an English, like
We could
English
also be
versus
overthinking this.
oh, probably. If you're an English knitter, your dominant hand would be your right hand.
Mhm.
And if you're a continental knitter, chances are your dominant hand is your left.
Yes, and that is not whether you're right or left-handed, let's be very clear.
No.
Because I'm left-handed, but I am an English right dominant knitter.
It's weird.
It's weird, but no, like I said, the
Yeah.
convention, what it will say in a pattern is hold it in your left hand. It will not talk about holding it in your dominant knitting hand. It will just say holding it in your left hand.
That's true. But my brain goes to if the pattern writer is continental,
Mhm.
holding it in their left hand makes it their dominant hand.
She's saying this to me like I'm not hearing her. I'm absolutely hearing her. Yes, I agree with
Yeah.
you, but I'm saying that's not the way the pattern's written.
Yes.
Like, they're not thinking about it that way, but you are.
But they're not
And
thinking about it like have they thought, because they're continental. Like I'm continental, but I work with my boss is an English knitter. And so I tend to think about the differences a wee bit more than somebody who's
here's my
oh,
suggestion. Do you wanna write one of them and ask?
I could. Probably won't, but I
Probably
could.
won't, but, or if you guys wanna try that challenge and say, "Are you saying that because that's the yarn that's the hand you normally hold yarn in?" Like, they might be saying it because that's just what is said, right? Like, it's not that they came up with it. It's just that that's what they've heard, and, tradition is being carried on. I don't know if it'd be really interesting. So again, someone out there might be able to do the research on this. If this arose from a place of continental knitting or not, I try to I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. I'll do it. But whether it's really making the contrast color pop, or maybe it's not because I'm not a continental knitter and I'm doing the opposite. Are y'all following this? This is interesting. This has been a very technical Dear Becky and Lizzy. This is fascinating.
We should really Fair Isle cables.
You should Fair Isle cables and report back to us, right? You should do those swatches and we will take a look. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
You think
I'll
she's
get
going to do it?
right on that. Because they'd require purling.
No, they wouldn't. Not if you're doing it in the round.
Yeah, but I'm not doing
that means
in the round.
Well, and see, doing a swatch, stranded color work flat is kind of obnoxious in my opinion. Again, because it involves pearls. Unless you were going to change them to knits, but then it wouldn't show up the same way on the front side. And I think that would throw off the whole experiment anyway, because people purl very differently than they knit often. I have sometimes I gauge swatch flat and it works for in the round, and sometimes it really doesn't. And for some people, gauge swatching flat for something in the round is not a good indication of what's going to happen. And for some people, they don't have much difference and it doesn't really matter. You have to figure out what kind of person you are by engaging in all that or not, and just see what happens. We have all kinds who come to the shop. So we have people who said they'd never gauge swatch in their lives, and they have, and that's an indication that the world is going to end. So
soon.
Yeah. Okay. So my neck was feeling naked on the camera, so I had to put this back on. All right, we need to go because we need to open the shop and potentially rip it apart so we can put together our new fixture. Because there's no appointments, so we can do that, right? Famous last words. Okay.
Like, subscribe.
We've gained like 1 or 2 subscribers. We would like to gain a lot more because we are losing at the race against my other YouTube channel. And that makes Liz sad. Or even if it doesn't, I will say that makes Liz sad. It makes
me sad.
If it compels you to subscribe.
I don't even want to go and look at tips and tricks because I know it will make me sad.
You really don't. It's kind of, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we are not filming tomorrow. I'm sorry if that was loud on camera. I might even check the levels. We'll see. We are not filming tomorrow. We do have sit and stitch tomorrow night. So if you want to hear stories about anything we've talked about or about how today goes and things like that, you can come
Or
tomorrow
the
night.
epic battle between Rebecca and the cat.
She blows it out of proportion, but I do have scars. Um, so tomorrow night we will have sit and stitch on Zoom from 6 to 9 p.m. with the shop phone number for entry.
828-877-3550.
And then Saturday, we have our last Saturday monthly sit and stitch. We are still hoping to have monthly afternoon weekend sit and stitches. They may just move to Sunday. We will experiment. But this Saturday is the last time you can catch us on a Saturday because we're going to start working on Saturdays. Oh my. But it's also Worldwide Knit in Public Day. So you can knit in public with us, or you can go knit somewhere publicly, but also join us online if possible. Or you can go knit somewhere in the morning in public and then come on to our dual platform sit and stitch and tell us all about it. We will be on Zoom again from 1 to 5 p.m. with that same code
828-877-3550
to get in. Or you can also join us on Facebook Live, which is a good option for if you're in a noisy location. It can be a good option if you are in a location without really great internet connections, because there is an upload and download. There's just download that has to happen. Or if you're not comfortable with Zoom, it should work. If you go to Sundragon Art and Fiber on Facebook, you should be able to see that there is a live event happening and watch it. And if you click on it, I think it's if you click on it and make it like full screen or make it like the primary thing on Facebook for you, I will know that you're watching. Either it sometimes lets me know if people who are already watching or following that page, it will sometimes let me know that you're watching and I'll go hi. And sometimes it just makes there's a little eye in the corner with how many people are currently watching at that moment, and that number will go up and I'll go woo.
And
but
we'll all wave from Zoom, but you
won't see because Zoom is private. It's an enclosed thing. We do not record that. So Zoom is a great place to see more people than just me, because this could get boring after a while. But I don't put Zoom on Facebook, if that makes sense, because it's private. You're joining there to find community and not to be broadcast all over the internet. I do Facebook because it's my business and I'm broadcast all over the internet. and we actually when it's done, we will publish it so you can watch the whole Facebook event later. We've actually had a knitter who did that when it was happening. They had issues, so connecting with the live event. But the live event means you can type questions in and hopefully I see them and I read them to the Zoom. There's still community happening. We've had people watch on Facebook and feel like they were included, which is really fun, because that's the whole point, is community, right? That's what's so sad about not doing classes right now and other things where we could be more communal. We try to find other ways to do that. And we need to go open the shop. So
yes.
Join us Friday night or Saturday afternoon or
Tuesday night.
Watch us next week.
Yeah.
And there's more options to join us in actual, like, hi, we can see you and talk to you ways, So, all right, we got to go. We love you. We miss you. Stay safe and visit us if you can, but make an appointment if you want to come inside. And yeah. Okay. And subscribe, because we'll have a sale if we hit 600, and it's like climbing a mountain to get there, but every little bit helps. Win-win situation. Bye.
Bye.